There's various levels of cracking. Sometimes surface cracking doesn't necessarily mean the road's in bad shape. It just we need to fill those cracks to keep moisture from getting into the subgrade. The trick with pavement management really is keeping good pavement in good condition. Once the curve, the life curve, the condition curve of the pavement begins to deteriorate, it drops off really fast. And then you're faced with a situation of rebuilding the pavement, which is at least 10 times as much in cost than it would have been to just kind of take care of it along the way. Eventually, all pavement's going to degrade, but what we do is prolong the life of it by performing preventative maintenance. So we have a really good strategy of a lot of combination of things in our toolbox to kind of keep our pavement system healthy. And our goal really is fair condition. That's what's been sort of staff's recommendation that we have made to council. We think that that's a reasonable place to be. It's very expensive to take care of pavement. It's very expensive to rebuild it. We don't have to have gold-plated streets, but we do want them functional and safe and comfortable to ride on. They're a good indication of the economic health of the city. I think it's something that people see when they come drive through. So, but we think that a fair condition is a value. So this has a lot going on here. And really what we're doing here is showing that if we hold the current level of funding that we have for our asphalt pavement, which in this year is $9 million, we're contracting out to put down $9 million of material on the roadways to perform that preventative maintenance. $9 million this year. If we keep that the way that it is, over the next 10 years, that yellow bar indicates the decline in the condition of the pavement over that 10-year period. This is all based on a model that we have that's fairly sophisticated with a lot of inputs in it, but it's a good system-wide network predictor of what's going to happen if we hold our current funding level constant. And really the reason why that is because the buying power goes down over time. We can't do as much. As $9 million today, it buys a lot more than $9 million in 2035. And so the other line that takes a swing up to the right is the projected or possible rise in the cost of asphalt per ton. We don't know if it'll go that high or not, but the point being that there's an inverse relationship between the cost of materials and the quality of the pavement, especially if you hold your funding levels constant. So that's the message that we want to communicate and let it be known that if we just stay the way that they are, things are going to fall off, and it's going to get real expensive to take care of later on. This chart here, again, this was some of the model generated. The bars have two pieces in them. The yellow piece is the asphalt pavement. The blue piece is the concrete that supports the pavement. So when we go through and we do some rehabilitation in a segment, we also fix whatever broken concrete exists. We don't necessarily replace everything. We just replace what we need to. But when we're doing asphalt, we're also doing the concrete. And so every year has both yellow and blue. And so we're showing a general trend upward in our level of expenditure to keep things at the grade that they are now. And so basically, in summary, this shows a doubling of the cost. We're at about $12.5 million in 2025, and then we're projecting that over the next 10 years we need to double that up to $25 million. Somehow or another, we got to get to that point. The variation isn't real smooth because every year we're predicting to do different things. Some years we're doing more mill and overlay, which is more expensive, and other years we're just doing crack sealing and chip sealing. Just depends on what's needed when. So the bar height kind of adjusts throughout the year, but in general the trend is upward on the amount of funding needed to keep the pavement in this current condition that it's in now. A little bit about concrete, curb, gutter, and sidewalks. We replace those as needed. When we develop trip hazards or other things like that, we're also going through and retrofitting a lot of our ramps, our ADA accessible ramps to make them more user friendly. And then we've got different gaps in some of the sidewalks throughout the city as well that we're There's one sidewalk ends, but people continue to walk, and so we want to fill those gaps as well. And then another big piece really is that everybody enjoys is traffic signals in the city. The photos here, you can see they're kind of, the upper left is a picture of a controller cabinet. You'll see one of these at every intersection. Some of them are wrapped with different designs, but that houses the brain for the signal. It controls the phasing, the communication with other signals, the detection, a lot of communications. And so those are expensive, but they get hit a lot by cars. Other than fire hydrants, I think drivers in Westminster knock over a lot of these signal controller cabinets as well as street lights. So if you're in the right of way, be careful. So it's those get knocked down, and so our staff has to take care of those things. And then down at the bottom, you can see some photographs of the signal mast, not the mast arm, but the bases as they attach to the ground. There's a fair amount of corrosion going on with those bolts that hold that stuff up. Years ago, the city and other municipalities around here did not provide corrosion protection on this steel, and so with the winters and the salt on the road and just our environment, those things degrade, and we like to find them and get them fixed as best we can. Just incidentally, the new standards do provide galvanized steel in these environments. And then I think this is probably almost the last slide, traffic calming and mobility. We have a list of citizen resident requests for our department to look at speeding and pedestrian safety and other safety things because of just in different parts of the city. And those things take a little bit of time to review. We don't just jump out there and put stop signs or speed bumps up because every time you do something, there's an opposite reaction to it. So we need to apply the right treatment to these things. We don't want to put stuff out there in places that are going to cause another problem that mitigates what you were trying to solve for in the first place. So really, it comes down to a lot of driver behavior, but there are places, people not obeying the traffic laws that we have, speeding and so forth. But there are places in the city where we can do things to the street environment itself that kind of take away the incentive to speed. Like if you have a long, straight, wide road, people are tending to going to drive fast on there. But there are things that you can do to maybe narrow that up, create friction, if you will, along there to help with that. So those have costs as well. So we've got a list of things that we're looking at in that front.
And I just want to say in our budget hearing, you had a map that everybody started out with that we were asked, do you have an intersection? Do you have a street light? Do you have whatever? And boy, ours got marked up really good. So you need eyes and ears of other people. And if they see some of these poles that are rusting and they're concerned, what do they do? Yes.
Put in a ticket to the Access Westminster's one good way, or call our office. Let us know.
So Access Westminster is a mobile app. You can get it for your phone, and it's GPS based. And so if you're out in the city and you see something that you want to bring to our attention, and you have that app, you take a picture, it automatically sends us the request with the picture and the location, and our response time on Access Westminster is hyper fast. And you don't even have to know that you're in the city of Westminster. If you actually are in Adams County, unincorporated, or Jefferson County and nearby, but you can't tell if you're actually in Westminster, we'll automatically route that request to that agency. So if you're close, it'll get to our neighbor as well and get addressed. I should also add that Paul and his team works very closely with our police department and on speed enforcement, in particular, neighborhood complaints. And we do encourage you, if you have concerns in your neighborhood or issues, do let us know. We're very sincere about that. The very first thing that will happen, if it's a behavioral challenge, our police department will go out immediately and start to monitor and enforce. If there's a speeding issue or dangerous driving, which we sometimes see as a trend develop, the police will help curb that trend, and in addition, work with Paul's team to start to look at physical solutions and changes to that. One of the things that it's coming for our police department and working with Paul's team are speed reader boards, and so you're going to see some new things in Westminster on our streets, and one of those will be it's not an enforcement tool; it's an information tool, right? Those trailers that tell you how fast you're actually going, not what you think you're going. And so that's very helpful. And then we are looking with our police department at trials for Westminster for red light cameras because we do have, it's a regional trend. It's unfortunate, but in the Front Range of Colorado, red light running has become quite something. And our police department is very proactive in addressing that. So we may see a trial coming on red light running. So for city updates,
I'll give our
yes.
112th and Marshall as the first one. I stop, I have a green light, but I look left, I look right, because there's always somebody blowing through. So,
yeah, and that's the mayor's neighborhood, and so we're definitely paying attention. All right, so a few city updates for you, and then we will turn it over for questions if you have any or comments for us. We're here tonight for that purpose. Mayor?
I don't know how many have been downtown, drive around and see what's all happening. But if you come in off of 92nd, go east, go to Eaton, turn right, you will see all of the construction going on for the park. And it should be pretty done by November, which could be a nice day, could be a snowy day, but the 2026, they're planning the big celebration. But every time I'm down there for a meeting with the chamber or something, they are just going gangbusters. And so it'll be exciting. If you don't know, we have 2 dog parks down that right by Bolero. Or no, it's not Bolero. Is it Bolero? No, the bowling alley. I thought I had a brain freeze there for a minute. Anyway, right next to there's a small dog park and a big dog park. And when we opened that, the 2 pugs looked through the fence at the big dog park and thought, why are we over here with the little guys? They wanted to play. But anyway, so there's lots going on down there. So take a drive and check it out. This was exciting, was it? It was April Fool's Day, wasn't it? That we broke ground on this. And it wasn't an April Fool. G-Fiber is coming to town, and we have MetroNet, and there's one other one but we have this map on our city website if you want to see where they're at, what they're working on. G-Fiber is working on the north side of 112th, and that's where we had groundbreaking. And each of the city has known, the city council wants to know where all they're going to go, and you would probably like to know when you have something coming near you. I know some residents have seen over in the countryside area that they've really had a lot of activity, and they've called that provider and asked some questions, and I'm told rates are pretty good. So check and see what's coming in your neighborhood and make plans if you need higher speed. But this is coming, and this is our 3rd one, right?
Yes, and they're moving quickly. So this map will be updated by the city on a regular basis. So if you're curious, please do monitor the city website, which we recently just completely overhauled. So also let us know if there are things on that website that you're not getting or that you like. Let us know, because we did just completely overhaul it. This is one of the things we added. And the 3rd company, Mayor, is Intrepid. So it's G-Fiber or Google Fiber, MetroNet, and Intrepid. And there's the map. If you're in one of those neighborhoods and you haven't been outreached by them, definitely get in touch with them, because they are very competitive with each other to provide.
And I have had emails where some damage to the lawn or something has happened and they didn't realize it. Now we're getting into spring and you're getting your sprinklers ready and something was damaged. I've heard that they've called the company that did it all, and they are helpful and come back out and fix. Oh, one Saturday, April 5th, we most of council was able to go to a 3.5-hour tour of Rocky Mountain Metropolitan Airport. as you know, if you live in Green Knolls or Westcliff, and really I hear things from all over the city, the noise issue is an issue. We don't control that airport. Actually, Jefferson County, even though it's an enterprise fund, it's in their budget, but the commissioners don't tell the airport what they do. FAA tells them what they can and can't do. And once they're in the air, FAA has total control. What they have done, and they showed us, they do have flying schools, and that's part of the problem with what's causing some of the noise, especially the little tiny planes that you hear. The bigger planes you don't hear, but I know because sometimes I'm on the phone on my back patio and we're in the flight pattern, and I'll say, just a second, I got to wait for a plane to go by. But they have the flight schools, and they showed us a booklet that each flight instructor would come and check out. They have to keep track of their hours, but in the front of it is all the things that you as citizens have asked for. And it's about the noise. And so it tells which direction, if possible, to go, and the tower is aware of it. Everybody's trying to work together, and I feel like it's been better, but I'm just one person. So I learned so much. And one of our counselors loved it so much. They did offer us, I don't know what they called the ride, but we could go up and they would take us for a ride. She got to fly the plane and she got to taxi the plane. So she is hooked and she's going to join and become a pilot. So they took care of that with her, but it was really good. And city manager has worked on this, and you work with the city manager or the county manager in Jeffco, and now the new airport person. And so you have done lots of work to get to this point. And so we really appreciate that you were able to get us a tour that was very fascinating. The hangars out there and all the businesses that are out there. I had no idea.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And a couple interesting facts arising from that fact-finding mission. One of them is that of all the fuel that goes through that airport in a year, it's about 6 million gallons of fuel. And I didn't know this. There are two types of fuel that go into airplanes, jet fuel and aviation gas. The jet fuel is more like kerosene, and it's not leaded. And the aviation gas is leaded. It's more like high-performance automobile gas. Of the 6 million gallons that moves through that airport, 600,000 gallons is the aviation gas or the leaded gas. The other 5.4 million gallons is jet fuel, which you would see in that's what's burned in the larger airplanes. And so for us, in city council meetings, when we hear from our community, most of the complaints really that we hear are around the noise of the training flights. And the other interesting fact that most people may not realize is the airport doesn't control where those aircraft fly. That's actually the air traffic control tower, and that's a federally run tower, and it's the tower who controls 100% of the flight paths and the times that those pilots fly. And what the mayor mentioned is the voluntary noise abatement plan that the airport has put in, which is an education program for all pilots. And that's to have them be aware what the sensitive times are and the sensitive locations for flights, and get the pilots to voluntarily file for different paths and apply for different times to fly. The other outcome of our meeting, Mayor, with City Council at the airport is that the airport itself will be taking the experience with us and launching public outreach and tours for community members who are interested in going to the airport. So watch for that. We understand from the airport leadership that'll be coming out in summer or early fall, and it will be fact finding. There's probably going to be a briefing session and then a tour around the facilities for the airport. And one last fact on the airport, I don't know if many people realize this, but the Colorado Department of Transportation, or CDOT, has an aeronautics division, and that division provides funding to all of Colorado's airports, including this one. And the current funding program that they have in place is to install, that CDOT is funding the installation of an unleaded fueling station at this airport. And that work is underway now. And we understand from the airport and CDOT that station will open up by the end of summer. So that will also help provide some relief around people who have concerns around leaded gasoline still being used in aircraft over our communities.
One of the other things is we used to have an RMMA citizen group that disbanded, and so now they're getting ready, and this is a federal piece that's happening, the 150. And so they have applications open until April 20th. So you've got plenty of time. You got your taxes done today. So now you're on to next things. But if you're interested in that, it's www.jeffco.us and then /focus groups and apply. And they will be picking, I forgot how many they said, but they're picking, and they want people with all points of view, not just one. And so they're going to be doing that. They're choosing those folks. So if you're interested, apply. And the other thing I wanted to reminded me, just as when you taught your kids to drive, they had to have so many hours at night. So do airport flyers have to have so many flights. So they try to get them done by 10 o'clock, but in the summer, gosh, it doesn't get dark until 9 o'clock. So, yes, you sometimes get a little bit later flights and you get maybe a little bit earlier in the morning flights, but they have to have so many hours. So.
All right. Next, self-serve mulch program.
Yes.
This is a good news one.
Well, and we open, is it just one time a month for bringing in your trees and all of our goodies and all that mulch, because they put them through the chipper and it produces mulch. And then I don't know who the angels are that come and drop them off, but on Westminster Boulevard and around 96, there is a huge pile. I watch people there all the time, and gosh, you guys help each other. I see trucks loaded up, and I see people helping people load their truck, and then those people help load that truck, and watch them then go on their merry way. But it's a great piece. If you just need a little bit for a bed over there, just bring some trash bags and load it up and have fun.
So that's on Westminster Boulevard, 9920 Westminster Boulevard. And that's open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And you can come by, and it's free and it's self-serve. And the mayor described it. We do offer throughout the year free tree limb recycling events. And this is the mulch from those events. We will even schedule one if they're never happens in the Front Range. If there's a windstorm and we lose a lot of limbs from people's property, we will set up an event and get those limbs collected, and this is where it goes. So if you need some mulch, that's the place to go and get it.
We've had a week of cleanup from the 13th to the 19th, and on Saturday, some of the people do it on Saturday. Others do it ahead of time. You go pick up your supplies at the rec center. They have all the trash bags, and they're the bright orange bags. Usually they have gloves. Somebody's donated and stuff. So, and always, if you find drug paraphernalia, anything that you shouldn't be picking up, again, use Access Westminster. Somebody will come and pick it up properly. Don't you do things that you shouldn't be doing, but let us know where it's at. And I laugh and cry at the same time. When I cleaned the ditch behind our house, when it first opened at the promenade and the AMC, I would watch kids go in one door, and as their parents dropped them off and left, they would come out the exit door. And I could tell you where all the drinking, smoking, all of the stuff was going on, because I got to pick it up in spring cleanup. So I would always tell officers, you might want to get out of your cars and go over the berm and just walk that. And so we don't have that trouble anymore. But yeah, you hear the theme in last month and this month. We need your eyes and ears. We aren't everywhere. The police department can't be everywhere. Fire department can't be everywhere. Our staff, code enforcement, we need your eyes and ears, and we don't mind the phone calls.
which is a good segue into using those eyes and ears to find potholes this week. This is the second annual Pothole Palooza, so we've got 4 full days this week. Today concludes the second day. If you see something, report it into Access Westminster. We will get on it, and our street division is all hands on deck this week, driving around. You can see there the back of a truck, the torch keeping the asphalt is hot mix, and putting it in there so it binds properly. I think yesterday they filled, if I remember right, about 650 potholes or thereabouts, and last year we filled a total of over 3,000 in those 4 days. So invite you to bring that. This is for city streets, not parking lots. Just so that you know, yes.
And we, at the end of the month through May 3rd, we have Arts Week, and it's a fun time. All free. So I always love the all free things that you and your family, friends, neighbors can go to. There's going to be so many things to do. So please go to our website and look at that, because you can pick something each and every day to do. There's going to be things all over the city, from historic Westminster up to downtown, and I think they have some of the libraries going. So it's everywhere. So just look at what you might be interested in and join in. It is free, 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 free.
All right, Mayor, thank you. And that takes us to the question and answer part of today. So we do have time for questions from you, from either what you've heard tonight from us or questions that you want to ask us about the city. I think over here we may have a question. Yes. What's your question? This gentleman right here. Okay, great question. When will the playground, I believe at Irving Street Library, when will that be open? So do you use that playground? Have you? Yes. Well, thank you for being patient. So unfortunately, somebody that was naughty burned it down. So we've been working on building a new one, as you've seen. And I understand from the crew that they will be ready to open that up in late June or very early July. So this summer, if you can hang tight, that new playground will be open this summer.
Cool.
I turned in so many, I thought I won, but I didn't win. So it outnumbered me. So either that or I didn't get my prize.
I'll have to follow up on that, Gary, and let you know.
You know, you gave away something. I forget what it was.
Okay. I'll have to get back to you.
We have a question up here.
Is this a venue where I can ask about potential street projects?
You can ask anything.
Okay, cool. We live in Country Club Highlands, and Federal Parkway goes right behind us and joins the Federal to Zunai. And there was some discussion about expanding that street quite 2 or 3 years ago, but nothing ever happened. So I'm curious about is that still in the works, or is it going to happen?
Extending 86th or Federal
Federal Boulevard to Zunai, right along Big Dry Creek open space.
120th, north of 120th Federal Parkway project.
Oh yes, that should be going to construction here this year to widen it.
Okay, is there a good spot we can get information about process and what's going to happen?
I'll give you my card here in just a minute, and I'll get you connected with the folks that have the details on that.
Okay, my concern is if they're going to expand the road, but they don't expand the bridge, I don't know how that's going to work.
Yes, and I don't want to speculate. Sometimes those bridges are built wide enough. I don't know about that one. That one may not be.
No.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
And so what we'll do is, Paul will follow up with you today, and then we'll also post some information as a follow-up on the web on the stream of tonight's recording, so that anyone else who's interested in the Federal Parkway project can get information, who to contact, what the schedule is, and what's getting done out there.
We have a question over here.
So you know how when you're in a school area, the traffic, you get a flashing thing to slow down because you're in a school area, which I think is amazing. I'm kind of curious about on 112th, before Harlan, there is a sign there, and I would imagine that that was there for Sheridan Green, which doesn't exist anymore, but every morning it drops down to 20 miles an hour, and I'm kind of curious, what school are we slowing down for at that point?
Yes, I think that one is still up because we still have some users that are benefiting from that. I'm not sure which school they are. If I'm remembering, this came up and our staff has talked about it. We're aware of it. And I believe when that park is built through there with the deconstruction of the Sheridan Green, that we'll probably wind up taking that down. But we're aware that it's there, and I think that there are still some beneficiaries from it being there, according to our
You should
staff.
pick up the speed as you're getting closer to Ryan.
Yeah, let me help it, because that's where I live in,
Yes.
and I've complained about it for a year, and nothing's been done. So, and that isn't a bad thing, it's just they don't know because they don't live there. When you come out of Harlan, you don't see the light flashing way down here that was for people coming into Sheridan Green. We are exiting now Sheridan Green and no one's coming in there. So I always fear that one of my people in blue is going to get me for, but I don't know that the school zone started. So we need something there to tell us. But yes, the school zone needs to go to the east of Eaton to start, because our subdivision is having to cross 112th to get to Ryan, which is off of 112th and Eaton on up. And I don't know if anybody uses 112th to get over there, so maybe it could end around Kendall or something, but going to the east, that end of speed zone needs to go again past the light of Eaton, because that's where the major traffic is now. But we coming out of Sheridan Green at where we don't have a flashing light have no idea it's a school zone at 20 miles an hour. If the cars are going 20 miles an hour, I know to exit slowly. If they're going crazy like they do most of the time, then I don't know until I get down there. I see the flashing lights, but they're not facing me because they're facing the group that goes, because that light is clear up to my left and I can't see it either. So I need to bring them out and show them so that they understand, because yeah, yeah.
But I'm sure he's looking at us going, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
I think our staff is aware, and this has been helpful, so they'll listen to the recording tonight, and we'll get an answer posted, and follow up on this live stream. If you would like a personal follow up, you can leave your contact information with Paul, and he will have the team reach out to you directly. Because sometimes more detailed observations are more helpful for us when our staff come out to have a look at it. It'll save time and get a better result.
Question?
Discussion was very interesting to me. Nancy, thank you for detailing that. Question for you, the Broomfield, there was a little notation at the bottom that most of it was city, but there was like a 0.4 for county. So there's, in comparison to ours, my question is theirs total, Broomfield City and County, higher than most of ours, Westminster City and Adams County for me, or Jefferson County for some? And if so, what does the county do for us other than provide jails? I know they do that, but what else are we paying for from a county standpoint? And I know that's not for you to necessarily have all the details, but just interesting that the city and county of Broomfield is X number, and we pay a much lower number to the city of Westminster and a much higher number to the county. Does anybody know what we're getting for that high number?
Good.
Great question. There are two cities in the state of Colorado that are also counties. And so Denver's one, city and county of Denver, city and county of Broomfield. So that's where they've merged the city with county responsibilities. So really insightful question as to is there a difference when you're a city and a county together versus Westminster, which is a city inside of a county. In fact, we're a city in 2 counties, as you all know. Part of us sits in Adams County and part of us is in Jefferson County. So depending on which county, I'm in Adams County side of Westminster. It depends on what you pay in county taxes. The mayor might have a pretty good shot at describing what counties do historically versus what cities provide. I can tell you from the city perspective, we're your local hands-on services, the services that you see every day at street level, police, fire, water, wastewater. Those are the services that you get from your city. The county, which are largely funded from property tax rates on residents in those counties, as well as state funding that flows through the county to residents in their counties.
And they have the human services people that help folks. They have roads and bridges. They have unincorporated parts that aren't in a city. We have some of those big pockets around on Old Wadsworth there, those homes that are around what used to be Yoakum Elementary and is now Jefferson Academy. All of those are unincorporated. I think they get Westminster water, but police, fire, all that stuff, countywide, and our police, and you know, we have what do I want to say? We work with the other agencies. So yes, our police department can get there quicker than the Jefferson County Sheriff. Once in a while I see the Jefferson County Sheriff mingling around, but not often. So if there's something they really need, you know, it's going to be us that are helping them. But they have the mountains, so they have fire stuff, mitigations. They have, they just have the human services is the biggest piece that they have. Of course, they have the courts, as you said, and the jails, but they have the elections. Yeah, so they just run a little bit differently than we do to give the services, vehicle stuff. If you go look at their website and with the list of things they do, but yeah, the assessor and everything. So it's just a little bit different. But these days, with what we get pressured to do in the human services type scenarios, we had to put in an extra $1 million of your taxpayers' dollars to work with folks. So we're getting more and more into that, and we don't get the money from anywhere. It's just the same budget or pile of money that we have.
So what we can do in post comment after tonight's meeting is we'll put some links into the county websites, and this side of the audience was shouting out some really great responses, right? The assessor's office, elections, vehicle registration, which is huge, just did mine. So the counties take care of all that. They run the sheriff's office. They have a jail, the court system, and such. So they do provide a lot of those umbrella services for their member cities and the unincorporated areas of their counties that are not part of a city. And we have some of those in Westminster, as the mayor described, enclaves. Yes. Two more questions.
One other thing is mutual aid for emergency fire and.
Right.
Okay, please. This is a question as far as we're talking about the red light cameras. Is, you know, everybody seems to have a concern about speeding also. And so my question is, if we could take and have a source that would slow that traffic down to where it's not causing the city to have to, say, spend money. For example, cameras for speeding. If we take and have speeding cameras, now I'm a live and let live kind of guy, but I've got to the point now that the speeding and the running the red lights is just absolutely unhealthy. It's not safe for anybody. So if we would go ahead and use the red light cameras and also incorporate speeding cameras on, like you're talking about, all the straightaways and things, is we hit them, you hit them in the pocketbook, they get a ticket for $50 or $100 for speeding. That's going to get their attention. And also, we have concerns about the city needing additional revenues. Is I know of a town or a city that's looking at putting in 4 cameras for red light and speeding, and they're looking at receiving $1 million net after expenses. So if the city would incorporate that to our streets, we would make them safer and we slow traffic down, and it would also be a revenue source where maybe we could fund streets or the fire department.
You're light on the sentence. I would go for 300 first time. Be glad I don't sit in those chairs. Did we have a question over here?
Two things. Sales tax. I have family that lives in rural Oklahoma, east of Tulsa. They don't like taxes there, but their community passed a penny sales tax increase. And that community marketed that increase, and the slogan they used was "a penny for progress." And that struck me because, you know, it's an idea of explaining and getting people, you know, on board, and they were successful. So, just a suggestion. Are we abandoning the prospect of ever trying to get an increase in our property taxes? I think at the town hall last week, I said I'm for a property tax increase. My friend Linda, who's not here tonight.
Yeah, we have several at our table.
Yeah.
I don't think we've abandoned anything. We are looking at everything. I even want to look at, I don't know what we call it, the tourism tax or whatever we put on accommodations tax with hotels. None of you would pay that unless you're going out for a fun night and spending the night at a hotel. You wouldn't pay for it, but people coming into the city would. And those are the things I'm looking at. I want us to really scrub the bushes for those kinds of things. They all add up. Instead of just going to one pot, let's look at diversifying this so it's not just coming out of your pocket.
And I would like to add, as city manager, that the city council is very committed and staff is very committed to looking at basically no stone unturned. So we're looking inward first at our own funding needs long before we're going to go out and look at additional measures to increase revenue. So always, like a business, we're looking at how can we where can we cut expenses? Where can we redistribute existing resources? And this is something that's underway right now with our leadership team. Paul's a key member of our executive leadership team. Every director who reports to me is working right now on how do we redeploy existing resources to the areas that we really need them long before we go and ask for anything additional. And I just want to assure this community that that is some serious work that we're doing right now, and we're tying that into our budget review process. So that's moving forward. So I didn't want to leave the impression that we're only going to be looking at things to add to our revenue stream. We're first looking at tightening our belt.
But if you have great ideas, email me. Ann?
Short-term rentals, rather than just hitting the existing hotels, motels, because they are also paying on those particular ones a higher rate on their business interests. But short-term rentals are not. That's an excellent place to get them.
Short-term rentals is what she mentioned as a place to look.
I had another question about my tax bill.
Okay.
To me, I think I get what I need from Westminster, and my Westminster taxes are lower than my Highland Hills tax, Highland Hills Recreation District. And for me, I would much rather pay more to Westminster than Highland Hills. I don't understand why Highland Hills is so high.
Well, that's the reason when I learned my friends in Jeffco that had this apex from Arvada on their property tax bill, that was $243. You know, it has come up at times. Do we have to be a full service city? Well, there's an example of whatever you pay and what Apex is just for recreational facilities, that I don't think, I think the city does the open space piece, but Apex is the recreation parts of it, that $243 a year, yeah.
Yeah, well, I looked at it and I said, the thing is, the Highland Hills taxes the Highland Hills district, which are mostly people who can least afford to pay that high a tax.
Thanks.
I think one more question. We want to be respectful of everybody's time. I think you haven't asked a question before.
Yes, I am concerned about the idea of using traffic tickets as a way to raise revenue. As a civil libertarian, that just gravels my gizzard. It really does. And if we have a traffic problem, we should be looking at all the other alternatives for traffic calming, traffic slowing, direction, other things, rather than slap people around and make their lives miserable by issuing tickets that make them anti-government.
Well, we do have laws, and these people aren't following laws. Number one, I get that. And since 2019, when COVID hit, it's as if we had no laws. I applaud our police department. I mean, people haven't been registering their vehicles. People haven't been, I had yesterday somebody call and scream at me for about 10 minutes over code enforcement because they didn't have license plates on their car. Well, we have laws that people need to follow. So, and as Paul said, when we look at traffic calming things, we're affecting fire department responses. We're affecting police department things. Everything has to be looked at. So to me, the traffic tickets are because people are breaking the law and they are causing deaths.
Which is what causes us to set speed controls and other sorts of things. There are a variety of tools that can be used. I grew up in Montana, and they started having the highways have more curves because it's such a long straightaway that you tend to speed because it's just forever to get anywhere. So they started putting curves in the highway, which is easier driving, but it certainly cuts down on the speeding. So there are a whole range of tools that are available to effectuate this safety concern.
There are tools, and I believe that you guys have looked at
in addition to the ticketing.
I know when we look at different buildings of developments, sometimes Bradburn was built with smaller streets because you have to go slower or you're going to hit something. And so our staff does look at those things. They do. So speeding tickets is one of the solutions, not all solutions, but.
Yeah, and I would add, Mayor, and I appreciate the perspective being shared tonight, that the driver for what I described with what the police are looking at is a safety driver, right? It's getting red light cameras up because that's where we're seeing the most collisions and the most injuries and the most deaths on our roads right now is red light runners. And so we're looking at tools to curb that. And we just don't have the resources to place a live officer at every intersection to catch somebody when they do it. It needs to be something, we need technology to work for us, and we're looking at that. So it wasn't raised in the context of revenue generation. It was actually Mr. Fenmore's idea. And we'll put all these ideas on the table as we move forward with City Council. But I just want to assure the community, the drivers for what we're doing out there on our streets is safety. And do appreciate your comments on street design. That's a very sweet spot for me to talk about in terms of how we can alter the designs of our roadways and design out some bad behavior or some trends. And so that's what Paul and his team are working on. In fact, they're working right now on an update to that whole program and policy based on a lot of data and a lot of experience with our own streets. So we'll have that coming out soon. So you will start to see some physical changes in some of our streets. Mayor, I do want to point out and thank everybody. It's 6:37, so we've gone over time.
We can't thank you enough. These are fun. The time flashes by. If there's something special you want to hear about, just email me. We're just trying to hit with what we get phone calls about, all of council. You can reach out to any of council members with any of your suggestions, any of your questions. We're always willing to help and be there. I was invited to an HOA this past week. We had 40 members there. They were the greatest group ever. They energized me. It was late at night, and I came home, and my husband said, "Are you ready for bed?" I said, "I am so energized. I need to do something." So I sat and knit for about an hour. But so thank you for coming. You're wonderful. And thanks for everybody listening.